seeing that I'm all dolled up and know where to go, I'm going to quickly film a tag video. So if there's any particular tags that you'd like me to do, put them in the comments below. Like, I Google search tag ideas and some of them are a little bit that's stupid. But today's video, today's particular tag, I actually quite enjoyed reading the questions of, because I love books, and it's called the book tag, and there are 11 questions. So let's go through them, shall we? First one. Do you have a certain place at home for reading? No, not like a designated space. I usually read in bed, and I tend to read usually when Eleanor's gone to bed. But sometimes I read in the lounge room, but mainly 90% of the time I'll read in bed. Question 2. Bookmark or a random piece of paper? I have a designated bookmark, but if I'm reading a book and I'm not really feeling it, or I'm reading a book and something new comes out and I want to read that first, I will use a piece of paper in that book so I can come back to it after I've read the book that I'm currently reading. So both, but predominantly a bookmark. And if I ever lend a person a book and they dog ear it, I get so pissed off, because I love my books and how dare you dog ear my page. Anyway. Question 3. Can you stop reading anytime you want, or do you have to stop at a certain page, chapter, part, etc.? I can stop reading anytime I want, but I like to finish. So if you're reading a really intense part or something, I'll read that part. I can't just close that. Or I'll read to the next chapter. It depends on what sort of book it is. Usually I'll read to the next chapter, but if it's like a biography and that, a lot of those don't have heaps of chapters, so I'm able to just stop reading whenever I want. So, question 4. Do you eat or drink while reading? Usually I snack. Probably not a good thing, but usually when I'm reading, it's at night time, or it's during my lunch break, or yeah, usually that's the case. So yeah, usually I'm eating when I read. But then again, sometimes I like to read while I'm having my cup of tea, so both, but predominantly eating. Question 5. Can you read while listening to music or watching the TV? I can, but the music or the TV volume has to be down a bit. Example given, when it's cricket season, I usually read and have the cricket going in the background, and the volume's turned down. So I still know what's going on, but it's not distracting me too much from my reading. But that's the same with music. I can have the radio going in the background, but it has to be like ambient noise, not, you know, I'm about to bust out my jam sort of things. Question 6. One book at a time or several at once? One book at a time. I tip my hat off to anyone that can read more than one book at once. Yeah, I I can't do it. I get so engrossed in a single book that I don't want any other distraction. It's very I wouldn't say selfish, but you know, I've got to have the focus on that one book, so one book at a time. Question 7, reading at home or everywhere? I can read everywhere. I like reading at home, but I like sometimes I'll go and get my crispy chicken noodle soup and I'll sit and I'll read while I'm waiting for that, or yeah, my desk while I'm eating my lunch. If I'm sitting in the car somewhere nice, I'll bust out my book then. So yeah, I can read everywhere, but there's no place like home, so I like reading at home in my bed. There's an airplane going, I can hear it a little bit going, airplane. Oh, that kid. Question 8, reading out loud or silently in your head? I predominantly read silently in my head, but if I read something and I can't believe what I've read, I'll reread it, but read it out loud. My example is, if you haven't read The Girl Who Played with Fire, then, and you plan on reading it, or you are reading, just black me out for say the next 20 seconds. So there's a section in that book where she and her father are in hospital, in the same hospital, different beds, and someone comes in and kills him. And I think it's The Girl Who Played with Fire, or it's The Girl Who Kicked the Hornets. No, it's gotta be. No. It's gotta be The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Yeah. But yeah, her dad gets popped, and I had to reread that out loud because I could not believe that actually happened. Yeah, it's the third book. It's the third book because the second one, at the end, she's at her dad's place. Yeah. But yeah, I had to reread that one out loud, and I'm like, holy shit, like, it was brilliant because you just did not see that coming at all. So yes, both, but predominantly in my head I like to read. Question 9, do you read ahead or skip pages? So I'm sure Chris is probably listening to this, but I have this thing where I open up the middle of the book, roughly the middle of the book, and I'll read a random paragraph, and then I will go to the last page of the book and read the last paragraph. And I get heckled because of that. I don't know what started that, but it's just something that I've always done, and every time I do it, every time I get a new book and I open it up, Chris just shakes his head at me. He's like, you're an idiot. But if I'm reading a section, this is quite common when I read Dan Brown books. If I'm reading a section and he jumps to a different character, I've got to quickly have a look ahead and make sure that character's okay. And if it's a really crap book, I'll read parts, but I'll skip pages. Like if it's more waffle, I'll just go, I'll skim read it or something. But yeah, my middle paragraph and end of book paragraph, yeah, I'm sure other people do it. I know a friend of mine at work does it, so. Question 10, breaking the spine or keeping it new? Ooh, I like to keep it new, but some of the really thicker books that I I've read in the past, it's a bit hard not to break the spine. I do like to keep books in as pristine a condition as I can, because I have the utmost respect for books. But yeah, if I can't help it, then yeah, I guess I break the spine a little bit. And the last question is, do you write in books? No, unless they're a gift to someone. I'll write a little message at the front, or I don't even write inside it if I'm lending a person a book. You know, some people write their name in the front. I don't even do that. So like I said, I try to keep them in a pristine condition as possible. So yeah, there you go. But that is all the questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to answer them. I'll put these questions down in the description box, and yeah, copy and paste and reply. I'd like to know if there's other people out there that read the middle paragraph and the end paragraph, because we're unique people. Until next time, be good, stay well, and keep reading, because it's good for your brain and everything else makes you happy. Bye bye.